Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dateable, a show all about modern dating where we stop and ask, why do people do the things they do? You gotta stop and ask all the time why people do the shit that they do. Why do they say the shit that they do? And same to yourself. Why do you do the things that you do?
It's all about communication and questioning.
That's what we're teaching here.
Curiosity.
On the
Yes, all about curiosity.
I have to share. So let's get into what this episode is about. So in case people are like, what? Here they go, going off on tangents again. This episode is all about storytelling, how to tell your story. I'm sure we've all been in social situations or been on dates when someone's like, what's your story? So why are you still single? Or like, why are you on dating apps? It's like such an open-ended question, but there is a way to craft your story that not only tells everything succinctly, but also reveals just enough about you. So you don't feel like you're defending yourself. Because I feel like when I get asked those questions, I feel like I have to defend my choices.
Well, there's something about that question that leads to defensiveness for sure. But I think I'm really glad that we were able to have Corey Rosen on this episode. He is not a dating expert at all. He doesn't claim to be a dating expert. He is a storytelling expert, and he recently wrote a book about storytelling, Your Story Told, which we'll go into in this too. But I've had the pleasure of actually taking his courses before. Yes. And Yue actually came. I went on stage and told a story. Do you remember that? And
How can I forget? It was like an open mic, but for storytelling.
But it wasn't, because we had like prepped these stories for like months. Not months, but like weeks. We had prepped them for the time of the class. And I always really just enjoy that stuff because I think it's a really good skill to fine tune and, obviously like crafting your why story of like who you are, but also just, as a conversationalist, being able to like converse well, like in life and on dates and whatever social situation. But I remember like you and our other friend Deb, we'll give her a shout out, came and watched. And at first I was like, I don't want to invite anyone because I'm kind of scared. And then I think I like let it out that I was doing this, and you were like, we're coming.
Yeah, drop everything. You did so good, though. I was so proud of you. Not only were you so comfortable on stage, but the story you told was so well formulated, and it had such a great punchline. So
yes. That's what he teaches you. That's what he teaches you, because I definitely didn't have that going in. But I think, like, we're not saying on this episode you're going to, like, have to come up with, like, the perfectly crafted story. But I think working those muscles just helps you engage day to day better, and have more fun as you're talking to people.
The best part about all of this is that what you think is mundane, what you think isn't really a great story, is an awesome story to someone else. So you'll learn from Corey how to craft something out of nothing.
Yeah, I think actually that's important, because I think especially during COVID times, a lot of things I've heard from people is, what do I even talk about on dates? Yeah. Nothing's happened to me. I haven't done anything. But things are happening every day. Like, you don't need to be taking crazy trips around the world to have a conversation to talk about. Like, it's all about just like your observations and how do you like bond with someone.
It's a really great communication skill, actually, storytelling. And I've been trying to hone in on my communication skills for quite a bit now, because sometimes I'm like, I've told Julie this before, like sometimes it's hard to tell how I feel about a situation because I'm very good at giving a poker face. So I'm like trying to communicate a little bit better, but I finally got into masterclass, Julie. I finally got on this. I subscribed to masterclass and I started their most popular class, which is on negotiation. Now, in this entire course, there are a few sections on how to create empathy in conversations. And if anybody's not taking this class, let me just give you 3 of the tidbits that I learned. And I think they're really great on dates. One is mirroring. Mirroring just means you just repeat what the other person just said. So if Julie said, I had a really great time going on the moonrise. It was just such a fun and unique experience. And if you're listening to the story, to mirror her, all you have to say is, oh, it was a really fun and unique experience. and pose it as a question.
Yeah.
And what that does, you didn't ask how, you didn't ask why. What it does is just gives Julie the permission to keep going and revealing more about herself. I love that because you don't have to do much, but I know a lot of people on dates are like, do I ask these questions? What questions do I ask? How do I sound more interesting? Remember, the most interesting person in the room is the most interested. That's all you need to show.
Yes. I love that because then you're also not thinking in the future. Like I think sometimes this happens that you want to come up with the best question. You want to show your interest. And then you basically already been listening to the story that someone's telling you.
You're just reiterating. And it's like, if you just try it, people just keep going. They can keep revealing more and more layers of themselves. The second tidbit is called labeling. So what you do is you listen to Julie's story, and at the end you say something like, oh, it sounds like you really enjoy the outdoors, or it sounds like you really enjoy romantic activities. So you're putting a label to the story so that Julie can then say, I never really thought about that, but I do really like romantic dates.
Oh, I like that.
The very last tip I would give people is, I know we encourage people to ask why. Another great question to ask is how.
Yes, Shieldy said this, the how.
The how. It's actually really neat because when you ask why, people can get defensive. So why do you like romantic dates? But if it's a how can we create more romantic dates that it involves both of you and it doesn't put the other person on defensive?
I love that. I love that. When you said that you were going to take the master class, I thought you were going to say something about master dating. That's where my mind went.
Oh. Well, I mean, I guess you could do this with yourself, too.
Hey, two birds, one stone. Master class, master date. There you go.
Yeah. Learn how to talk to yourself. I do it all the time. I am a pro.
I also just want to call out, there was the best review that I saw the other day come in that said that from listening to this podcast, I've become a better master dater. Wow, cannot speak. I became a better master dater. And then they also wrote, and I've been master dating a lot lately. Anyone coming new is like, are they talking about masturbating or master dating? Solo dating, for the record.
I kind of love it that it's like our inside joke. You either get it or you don't.
But we also realized that this word has been around since like 2015. I think we thought we like pegged it, and then we're like, oh, actually, there's an article from 2015.
I'm not taking credit for the creation of the word. I'm just taking credit for making the word viral. That's all.
We brought it back. Just like Dink. We brought it back.
Just like Dink. Now it's relevant again.
Exactly. It's all, it's like fashion. Things just come back. It's all retro.
Recycle. Yeah, exactly. The mom jeans from the 90s.
Exactly.
What the fuck?
I cannot get behind that. Cannot get behind it.
I tried, Julie. I tried many pairs at the store this weekend, and it was not good. I look like a mom.
I'm okay not being Gen Z. I've realized that.
I guess when you're 13 and you wear mom jeans, you will never look like a mom. But when you're 40 and you wear mom jeans, you look like a mom. So,
you're like, are they on trend or are they just a mom?
Yeah, are they just because she's a mom and I would just look like I'm just a mom.
Yeah, well, it's the crop top mom jeans. I don't know. I'm still not on it. I'm not on the trend.
I can't do it.
I can't do it either. We're showing our age. It's okay. With age comes wisdom, right? We're wise enough to be like, that is not a good look.
Julie, we just keep telling ourselves that. That's all good.
But I am going to be like a kid tonight because I am going on a Ferris wheel. There's like the big Ferris wheel in Golden Gate Park that they put up during COVID times. So I'm going on a date on the Ferris wheel and I'm very excited about it.
How fun. That's going to be so fun. So how does this work exactly? I'm just picturing one of those like Ferris wheels in the middle of Vegas with a bunch of drunk people in a cart. Like how are you separated from the drunk people?
Everyone you have to reserve a cart. So he got the VIP experience.
Oh, damn. What does that mean? About.
So I think you get a nicer cart, like it's like leather, and then you also like get to stay on it longer. So I was all for it. Yeah. Whether it's going to be rowdy people next to us there, I have no idea. I'll report back. But I think they like limit like 6 or 8 people per one, but we'll see.
Can you do like some hanky-panky on this thing? Are there cameras?
I don't know.
Can you test it out for us, Julie? Just, asking for friends.
Yue's like, I might have to book the She's like, I wasn't thinking about doing the Ferris wheel, but next time I'm back in SF, I'm booking it.
And bring a blanket.
Exactly.
Well, that sounds like fun. That's going to be a great time.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm very excited.
What are you going to wear? What's that like?
I'm
Is it
still
gonna be cold
deciding.
on that thing?
I don't know. I gotta figure that out after this recording.
Okay,
I feel like getting dressed for dates this day and age is very difficult. Like, this happened to me last weekend. I was like, okay, I want to wear something cute, like a dress or something, because I just wear, like, I feel like I've worn on these dates, like, yoga pants, like, all the time. And I'm like, it's really not the best look. Like, before COVID, I would dress up, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, how do you balance walking, dressing up, and being outside? Like, how do you balance all three? It's a very difficult look to pull off.
It's very difficult. That on top of, I wear a lot of accessories, and I don't know how to put the mask over my accessories and take it off and on. There's a lot of first world problems.
Yeah.
with dating apparel. But it's still fun. We're still keeping it fun, right, guys?
But the reality is, if you're on a first date, most likely all they're going to see is your coat anyways. You just got to invest in a good coat is really the moral of this story.
I think so, too. A really cool, like, nice, classy coat you can always wear. Okay, so I was teasing Julie before we recorded that I have a really good story to share with her.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you never know when you're going to run into dateable listeners. Like, you just don't know, right? Because we are talking out into the abyss, and we don't know who's really listening on the other side until you tell us that you're listening. I've been purging a lot of stuff, cleaning out my new place, and I was selling something on Facebook Marketplace. And right before this. Is that
who you just let in?
Yes, this person just came over to grab my vacuum cleaner. And he was like, hey, I noticed, because on Facebook Marketplace, you can see everything about the person. You just click on their profile. And he's like, hey, I noticed you do Dateable. I'm like, yes, I do. He's like, oh, I just moved from San Francisco, and a bunch of my friends listen to Dateable, especially Anshul. And I'm like, we know Anshul. We've known her for a long time. Yeah, we love her. She's great. He's like, oh yeah, she's one of my good friends, and we've been on this, like, we all listen and talk about Dateable.
Oh my God. What's his name? Can we give him a shout out, or is he shy?
Koshal. It's like social, but with a K. Koshal.
Koshal.
Yes.
Thank you, Koshal. I love it. What a small world.
He's a neighbor. He just moved here from San Francisco. Like, what are the chances? So,
just saying, though, he could have picked someone else's vacuum cleaner, but probably seeing you on there with the vacuum cleaner, that probably sealed the deal to go with you.
Yes, I sold the vacuum cleaner. The vacuum cleaner did not sell itself. It was me. I agree.
Like, someone has the same make and model that lives next door to you, and he's like,
he's like,
no,
going with a Dateable girl. But also shout out to Anshul. We haven't seen you in a while, but we miss you, and it's always so fun to catch up with you. So we're gonna Facebook message you right after we record today. And say hi.
Love it. That is a fun story. I love it. If we had only done this intro half an hour earlier, we may not have ever even known this.
We would have missed this chance encounter with Koshal.
Love it.
What else? What else is new before we dive into this episode?
Last week's episode had just such an overwhelming response. I think people loved talking about love bombing. There were so many great comments in the Facebook group. People that were like questioning, like, I think the 1% narcissist really, I think a lot of people were shocked by that stat, because I think people throw that out all the time.
Yes.
I'll give a shout out to Amy Sharp, who had a really great post. She posted actually from British Columbia, a beautiful scenic thing, a scenic picture. And people were like, oh, I wish I was listening to the podcast there. But she had a really good point that made me wonder, it's like, why is the word love even in love bombing? Because this isn't love, this is manipulation. Ooh, on YouTube, if you're on YouTube right now, you can see that view.
So beautiful. Such a great point. Why is the word love in love bombing?
Who makes up these terms? That's what I want to know. Like, who is the master? I mean, I guess we've made some up, so that's who. Just some random
patriarchy.
person. Some random person made love bombing, and it became it. But I get why it's called love bombing, because it's like the overwhelming like emotions or overwhelming acts that come up too fast, too soon. And Tim Huey, one of our most dateable contestants, he had some really good like feedback about just like wanting to know a little more, like what makes, like I think he was like, I am having a little hard time with the connection between like, oh, buying someone roses and that's love bombing. And I think that makes sense too, because I'm sure there were a lot of like, I don't want to say like stereotype, but I think a lot of men that want to really show let me say this a better way. There's probably a lot of people out there that want to like put their best foot forward, and they don't want people to think they're love bombing. So it's like, I get where he's coming from. It's like, okay, like I thought roses were nice, and now someone's going to think I'm love bombing. Like, what is the line? And I was like thinking about it too. And I think it's not necessarily the action or the gift. I think it's like where does this stem from? Like, does it feel impersonal? Does it feel like they're, have you like they're doing it because they want to give to you, or does it feel like they're doing it for their own self-worth? I think that's like the distinction. Like, I think if someone gave roses and they genuinely like wanted to give the rose, like I don't think it's the rose that's the problem. And I don't know if that's like the best answer because it's still ambiguous, but I think it's like the intention behind it a little more.
Yeah, I think Tim brings up a really good point where the episode we do focus quite a bit on if you're on the receiving end of love bombing, what do you do? But how if you're the one giving out the gifts and affection, how do you draw the line so that the person you're giving all your affection to doesn't think you're love bombing? And I just think back on all the times that I've been love bombed, and the line I really believe is, have you had a conversation about what matters to this person? And I personally think it is, I think flowers are really great, but if it's our first date and we didn't have any prior conversations about getting flowers for no reason, it's kind of like a lot, right? But if I've said to you in a text message or in conversation, I love getting for no reason gifts or for no reason flowers,
right,
then there's a reason for those gifts. So it has to come from meaning that both of you share or have like discovered.
Totally. I actually recall a conversation I had with someone that he wanted to bring a candle to his first date, like as a gift.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, don't do that. Don't do that. There's no need. And he's like, but I like to give gifts on the first date. And I'm like, it makes it feel like you're putting this person on a pedestal and not just getting to know someone. If you guys had a date, you talked all about candles and how much you loved candles, and then you brought the candle, that would make sense because there's context. Yes. But there's no context here. And that's when it comes off as like, now what it does is it now says like, do I have to do something back for you? Like it makes it more like transactional, and it makes it more like, I don't know. There's something like about that can feel overwhelming to people.
So that's a really great example. I'm glad you brought that up because it goes back to Tim's question too. When someone says, oh, I like to do this on first dates, I like to bring flowers on the first 3 dates, I like to give a lot of gifts, you are not speaking with your date as the center of this action. You're saying, this is what I like to do. But when it comes to affection and gift giving, shouldn't it be about the other person? So if you do this on every first date, honestly, it doesn't make the other person feel very special because apparently you love doing it with everybody.
That's a really good point. Like, instead of thinking about like, how are they going, like, I think it's the I versus you center. Yeah. And it's like, are they, like, if you're doing it out of a place that you're trying to get them to like you versus you're doing it out of a place that you know they'll really enjoy this. Yes, queen. That's it.
Been watching too much Broad City. Sorry.
Oh my God. Oh, we have an episode coming for you all. That's
can't wait.
Damn
can't wait
good. That was the laugh I needed this week. That was the best.
Wait. Sorry to tease you all.
We're teasing big time. But if you've watched Broad City, there's a certain scene that stands out that may give you a clue to what we're talking about. Yeah. The last thing I want to touch on from what Tim said, though, just like really quickly, was the use of the word normal and like what is the normal pace of a relationship and phase. And he did call out like maybe the word normal shouldn't have been used. And I 100% agree with him. And like, I think like, for instance, like right now, the person I'm seeing is like things have moved pretty fast, but it doesn't feel like love bombing in the slightest. So it's not that like, there's no normal pace. There's no like you should see someone once a week and that's it. Like it doesn't have to be so calculated. So I do think like I think that we as hosts too, and this is something we'll be conscious of, is like then that word adorable comes up, whether it's in the context of dating or fetishes or whatever it may be. Like that word, I think that word needs to gotta be put away.
Yes, I love that. Thank you, Tim, for calling us out. And because of you, we are deleting normal from our vocabulary.
Going in the graveyard.
There really is no place for that word anymore. There's no such thing as normal.
No such thing as normal.